Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Ask Mike. That's where I answer your Razorback questions posted each week on hogville.net. So if you have a question and you're not a member of Hogville, go there, sign up. Hey, it's free, and you can post your question in the Ask Mike forum. So our first question comes from Intox Hog. How bad was the behind-the-scenes stuff during Bret Bielema's time here? Do you really think he just really quit recruiting, as some have said? Not asking for details, just trying to figure out how many recruiting classes it will take to get back to decent. Different people kind of close to that situation have given different answers when I've talked to them about it. In year three, Bielema's staff did begin to change. He lost some good assistant coaches. He didn't replace them with coaches of similar ability. Sam Pittman comes to mind. But personally, I think he did a really poor job in his last couple of years of developing leadership among upperclassmen, and that's why we saw maybe some of those second half collapses. 2014 and 2015 teams had guys like Trey Flowers, Martrell Spate, Brandon Allen, Sebastian Tritola, and it went downhill after that Liberty Bowl win. Bret Bielema was a player's coach. Personally, I think he was too soft on him. I also think he turned too much over to his staff in those last couple of years. I think he was convinced the program had turned around, and I think he was somewhat mystified when it started to come apart on him. But more than any other factor, I would say a total failure of the offensive line. That did him in, and the O-line is a problem that still exists right now. How long to get the roster back up? Well, let's see. It's already improved. I'd say by year three under Chad Morris, we should see a big improvement. And if this team starts to win games and they need to go to a bowl game, that's going to really help. On to the next question. Havoc asked, last year, I recall you reported that a former player had said to you after watching full practices, the O-line was struggling and it was going to be a very long season. Any insights this year from any former players on what they see specifically with the O-line performance / improvements? Well, you know, they got a lot more depth to start this season. That's the O-line. 16 scholarship guys, now down to 15, as opposed to 8 or 9 last year. We're told there's better competition at every position on the O-line. In addition, in practice, you'll recall the coaches are working 4 different units on 2 different practice fields going up against the defense. So that should have the backup players maybe better prepared if they have to step in during games. Yes, I have talked to some former players who did see Saturday scrimmage, the third fall camp. One of them said there has been some improvement in the offensive line, but he said it's still not what you really want to see from an offensive line in the SEC. So we'll have to see how that works out. Next question is from Top Hog 19. With the increased big play potential on offense and the added deep ball threat, do you see the defense going to a more aggressive style consistently? Last year we went conservative too often, playing not to lose, and it cost us. You know, I think the defense will be more aggressive because this unit has more depth. Now, it's young depth, but there's some real talent on the D-line and at D-end and in the secondary. Now, what happened to the defense last year, in my opinion, is easy to explain. The starters played way too much. They wore out. John Chavis said that's not going to happen this year. Even if he has to put freshmen on the field, the starters are going to get rest. And to me, fresher players mean playing more aggressively. Okay, next up, Luke Stywalker says, tired of these pansy questions. Let's ask a hard one. Broyles has been gone for over 2 years now. Can you finally tell us the super secret real reason why we left the Southwest Conference? Man, that is an involved question. By the 80s, you had basically 3 teams in the Southwest Conference that filled the stadiums, got on TV, and made money. We're talking about Texas, Arkansas, and Texas A&M, and schools like Rice, TCU, Houston, SMU, Texas Tech. They tended to vote in a block against a lot of the proposals in conference meetings that Frank felt like would make the conference better and Arkansas better. And he told me one time that it was unacceptable, I remember him saying this, unacceptable that Arkansas should get yanked around by a school like Rice that drew 15,000 fans to games. So the SEC, it's full of schools with big stadiums, committed fans, big TV draw. And as we've seen, the SEC has made Arkansas a lot of money, but the football program, man, it's suffered. Arkansas needs better recruiting in Texas. Looks like Chad Morris and his staff can do it. But if they fail, personally, I think it would be time at that point for Arkansas to maybe look at moving to the Big 12. I will say this, when you play games in Texas, you can recruit better in Texas. And that sets up the next question I want to address. This is from Unknown Nobody, who asked, has Arkansas ever had a true rivalry in which the other team hated, wanted to beat us as much as we did them? Many would like to point to Texas as a rival. However, Texas never saw us as a rival. I would disagree with those who say Texas was never Arkansas's rival. Now, OU was a big Longhorn rival with that Red River shootout and all that stuff in Dallas. But in the Southwest Conference days, a lot of games with Arkansas and Texas were way more important to Texas than the OU game because a Southwest Conference championship could be on the line. Now, the problem in the SEC really is Arkansas does not have a true rival at all. Jeff Long, he tried to push Missouri into that role. Didn't work. LSU's sort of a big deal, but hey, there's nothing like Texas was, I remember. And going to the Big 12 would bring that back, but hey, I don't think it's going to happen. There's just too much TV money in the SEC. Okay, let's get back to the current season from Kevin, who wants to know what grade would you give Hunter Yurachek on jobs performance and why? Well, I think Yurachek has done a better job than Jeff Long of talking to fans across the state, listening to their concerns. We're starting to see the results of that. How about the traditional so-called Darren McFadden Razorback football uniform? It's coming back this season. There's been a great reaction to that. We also hear that the Slobberhog logo may be coming back to the floor of Bud Walton Arena, and that would be a big hit with at least some fans. But Yurachek has also made some changes that may or may not be well received. The alcohol sales at games this season, that's going to be popular with some fans. The more conservative fans are already coming out against it. How about playing other in-state schools? Some fans like breaking from that Frank Broyles tradition, that position he held all those years, but others tell me in the long run, playing those in-state schools, especially Arkansas State, could end up being a mistake. We'll just have to see. But hey, ultimately an AD is judged on his hires. I was extremely impressed with the way that Yurachek handled the change with the basketball program. I think Eric Musselman is going to pump new life into that program, and ultimately Yurachek is going to get credit for that. But if it doesn't work out, he'll also get the blame. And that's the same with Chad Morris in football, even though Morris had accepted the job before Yurachek was hired. So right now, I'd give Hunter Yurachek a B. How about that? Now our next question comes from Salmonella, who wants to know, in your opinion, based on what you've seen and heard, Starkel or Hicks will be our starter? Well, hey, this is going to be a guess, but in Saturday's scrimmage, clearly Starkel had a big day. He threw 3 touchdown passes, Hicks had none, and Hicks threw a pick in the red zone. I'm guessing a starter will be named after Wednesday's scrimmage. It's the last one before the season opener. However, Saturday they're going to have a dress rehearsal practice in the stadium. And if they haven't named one by then, I believe that's when it will happen. The starting quarterback's got to be in place as you go into game week. So that's not based on any super secret source, but simply what we know about scrimmages. Okay, Iron Mountain Hog wants to take us back a few years. He wants to know, Mike, do you have any tidbits about the overall atmosphere in the Broyles Center during the Bobby Petrino era? I had a friend of a friend who worked there tell me some bizarre things and just wondered if any of that made it to the media's ears. Stuff like no non-coaching staff people not allowed to make eye contact with Petrino. Also heard that no one was allowed on his floor during game week. Also heard some more scandalous stuff, but I'll stop there. Okay, look, we all pretty much know about the scandalous stuff. What can I say? I mean, Petrino was an odd guy. He was an offensive genius and a play caller, but he hated distractions. I mean, his idea of going to work was, if you're not on my football team or a part of my staff, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. I don't even want to see you. He did not like the openness of the Broyles Center. You could simply walk down the stairs from the main floor to the coach's level, and you were in his space. So that's why we have the Fred W. Smith Football Operations Center now. Petrino designed it. It's all the way on the other side of the stadium from the Broyles Center. Coaches' offices are on the main floor, but you have to go through a secretary to get in there, and she's not letting you in there unless they want you there. Now, the locker rooms, the meeting rooms, the training rooms, all of that stuff is underground. It's very nice. It's functional. You can walk down a hallway and you're inside the indoor workout area. You go across that and you're on the outdoor fields. Walk up some stairs and you're in the weight room. Well, Petrino never got to use all of that, but basically he wanted the privacy that it creates. Now look, Petrino, he was really good with the media, and a lot of people don't believe that. They're surprised by it. He showed up for press conferences on time. That's the number one thing we like. He gave good answers to our questions, and he rarely got mad during press conferences. Here's what I think. I think he understood the value of exposing his program to the fans through the media, and that's where it stopped. Again, he wanted to be left alone beyond that. Now, Bobby Petrino, he's coming to Little Rock to speak at the Touchdown Club this fall. It's going to be really interesting. I'm told by people that know him that he has admitted to them that he really screwed up at Arkansas, wishes he could go back and do it all over, be more accessible, and of course, stay away from volleyball players on motorcycles. Well, that's it for this week. We'll do it all over again next week. It'll be game week for all of us. Take it easy, everybody.